In this galaxy, psychic abilities are as normal as breathing. Every society, from the smallest colonies to the grandest civilizations, relies on telepathy for communication, connection, and progress. Verbal speech is rare, a forgotten relic of lesser-evolved species. The psychic classroom, located within a massive, shimmering academy, is silent, a serene mental space where thoughts are exchanged as naturally as words once were. The students sit in perfect stillness, their minds effortlessly linked, sharing knowledge, emotions, and experiences. It's a symphony of minds, where the boundaries between individual consciousness blur into one harmonious collective. In this advanced society, there's no room for error or disruption. Harmony is key. Mental synchronization is not just encouraged, it's essential. Every student in the classroom knows this. The lessons are designed to flow seamlessly, with thoughts bouncing from one mind to another. No one speaks, but the atmosphere is electric, brimming with silent exchanges. Among these telepathically gifted students, however, sits one outlier, a human. Unlike the others, they rely on words and internal dialogue, an awkward participant in this telepathic ballet. Humans, after all, are known for their mental noise, too much chatter, too many unshielded thoughts. Most species find this disorienting. Yet here they are, an exchange student, thrust into a world that doesn't run on spoken language, where the very essence of existence revolves around clear, focused thought. The human sitting awkwardly among these alien minds feels both exhilarated and deeply out of place. They were excited to be part of something so advanced, so alien. But the excitement is laced with discomfort. The other students can sense it too. Their emotions bleed into the psychic field: confusion, frustration, a flicker of self-consciousness. The human had been warned about this. Psychic societies didn't think much of humanity's mental discipline. Noisy minds, they called them. Always too much happening, with random thoughts and feelings spilling over into the psychic ether. The human knows they're being watched, judged, perhaps. Every stray thought feels like it might betray them. The subtle tension builds, anxiety simmering just beneath the surface. They've trained hard for this, but nothing could have prepared them for the sheer intensity of living in such an environment. They try to calm themselves, focus on the lesson at hand, but it's hard. The classroom is a mental stream, flowing in perfect sync, while they are an intruder, trying to swim against the current. They know their mind doesn't belong here. Not really. It's an effort not to let their imagination wander, because when it does, the others will sense it. For now, they're doing fine. But there's always that nagging worry that they'll slip, that the wall they've built around their thoughts will crack, and the daydreams, those chaotic wandering things, will spill out. The lesson begins, and it's unlike anything a human would experience back on Earth. Alien students, their features as strange as their minds, sit in a perfect circle, eyes closed but minds wide open. The room is filled with pulsating energy, thoughts bouncing from one being to the next in seamless unison. Concepts are exchanged not through words, but through direct transmission. The human watches in awe, feeling the faint ripples of thought and emotion that occasionally brush past their own mind. It's like being in the middle of a crowded conversation, but instead of voices, it's ideas that flood the air. The human, trying their best to follow along, struggles to keep it overwhelming. Every mind here is so much sharper, so much more precise. The alien students are naturals at this, their psychic abilities finely tuned from birth. For them, it's as simple as breathing. For the human, it's like trying to decipher a language without knowing the rules. As the minutes tick by, frustration starts to build. The human can feel the gap between them and the others widening. Every time they try to connect to the group mind, their thoughts slip, scattered and unfocused. It's not for lack of trying. They want desperately to belong, to be part of this psychic flow. But their human brain just isn't wired the same way. A pulse of embarrassment washes over them. Are the others noticing how out of sync they are? Do they sense the human struggle? Surely they must. In this classroom, where minds are laid bare, there's no hiding anything. It's a terrifying thought. The human fights to remain calm, knowing that any strong emotion will ripple outwards and disrupt the flow. But the harder they try to suppress it, the more it grows. And then, like an old habit they can't break, their mind begins to wander. It's subtle at first, just a flicker of imagination. A stray thought about Earth, a memory from childhood maybe. Then, without meaning to, the human slips deeper into their daydream. They imagine scenes from an old adventure story, fantastic landscapes filled with strange creatures, impossible physics. It's a momentary escape from the pressure of the classroom, a brief mental retreat into a familiar, comforting fantasy. But in this psychic environment, even a fleeting thought can have consequences. The air in the classroom is tense. It's test day, and not just any test. This one is designed to measure a student's psychic precision and ability to merge into a shared consciousness with the others. It's a crucial skill, especially in this telepathic society. The human feels the weight of 100 eyes on them, even if no one is physically looking. The pressure is immense. Their very presence in this psychic academy has been a subject of debate. Most of the faculty believe a human doesn't belong here, that their lack of psychic discipline would disrupt the delicate mental balance the test requires. But there's no turning back now. The human knows that today, more than ever, they're being scrutinized. This exam requires perfect focus and synchronization, everyone's minds joining together in a shared mental exercise, a collective flow. The instructions hum silently in the human's mind, transmitted telepathically from the instructor. A flicker of anxiety runs through them as they prepare to dive in. They've practiced for this moment, but it feels different today. More intense, more isolating. It's not just about following the exercise, it's about proving they can hold their place in this intricate web of minds. The test begins. Around the room, students close their eyes, their minds effortlessly linking into the collective psychic field. The human, sitting among them, struggles to tune in. The mental waves around them are steady, controlled, but they can't seem to find the right rhythm. Every time they think they've locked into the flow, their thoughts slip away, distracted by the sheer strangeness of the experience. The other students are so calm, their minds like still waters. The human's mind feels more like a storm, chaotic and restless beneath the surface. Slowly, the pressure becomes too much. Their thoughts start to drift, overwhelmed by the intensity of trying to keep up. And then, without meaning to, the human lets go. Their mind begins to wander, slipping into the safety of imagination. The classroom fades away, replaced by a vivid mental landscape of their own making. In the daydream, they're soaring above mountains, a mix of impossibly high peaks and swirling clouds. The skies are full of strange creatures, half bird, half dragon, flapping their wings in graceful arcs. It's an adventure, wild and free, far from the sterile pressure of the classroom. Suddenly they're in a battle, scenes from some long-lost memory of history. Ancient soldiers clashing on a field, their armor gleaming under a red sun. Impossible physics unfold before their mind's eye. Walls crumble and rebuild in seconds. Landscapes shift with a thought. Every scene more bizarre and captivating than the last. What the human doesn't realize is that this entire daydream is spilling out into the shared psychic field, broadcast to every student around them. Normally, these fantasies would stay locked within their own mind, but in this psychic environment, there are no barriers. The human's imagination is leaking into the collective consciousness, and no one is prepared for it. At first, the other students don't know what's happening. The shift is so sudden, so jarring. One moment, they're deep in the focused calm of the mental exercise, and the next, their minds are flooded with strange, alien imagery. The classroom, once a place of quiet concentration, is now overwhelmed by a torrent of chaotic, uncontrollable thoughts. The students try to block it out, but it's no use. The human's daydream is too powerful, too wild. The telepathic network designed for precision and clarity is overloaded. Scenes from the human's mind, strange creatures, impossible battles, entire worlds, invade the consciousness of everyone in the room. Thoughts clash with thoughts. Emotions blend together, and suddenly, the mental landscape is a mess of confusion and chaos. Students are mentally reeling, their focus shattered. Some feel fear as they are forced to confront the human's wild imagination. Others are simply disoriented. They try to reassert control, but it's like trying to catch smoke. The images are too vivid, too unpredictable. Feelings of awe and terror mix as they experience human creativity in its raw, unfiltered form for the first time. The psychic harmony that usually flows effortlessly between them is torn apart replaced by fragments of the human's untamed thoughts. The instructor, sensing the disturbance immediately, attempts to intervene. They reach out with their mind, trying to isolate the source of the chaos, but the human's imagination is spilling out too quickly. It's like trying to stop a flood with a bucket. The more the instructor tries to contain it, the more the classroom dissolves into mental chaos. Psychic shields snap up too late, students disconnect from the collective field, their minds scrambling to protect themselves from the barrage of foreign images. The instructor calls for calm, but it's a losing battle. The human's mind, so unlike any of the others, is creating waves of disruption. The once orderly, seamless psychic flow is now a jumble of clashing thoughts, distorted emotions, and wild fantasies. As the psychic chaos gradually subsides, the classroom falls into a stunned silence. The students begin to regain their focus, but something has shifted. Their minds, once synchronized in a precise collective flow, are now tangled with the remnants of the human's daydream. Strange images linger in their consciousness, flashes of fantastical creatures, impossible landscapes, and emotions they've never experienced before. It's disorienting. A few of them glance at one another, as if to confirm they've all been through the same ordeal. Some students rub their temples, trying to shake off the lingering effects of the human's imagination. Psychic ripples still echo in the room, a kind of mental residue from the disruption. Thoughts feel heavier, tinged with the remnants of the human's chaotic broadcast. For some students, strange daydreams keep slipping into their minds, moments of vivid creativity they don't understand. Others are left with unsettling emotional echoes, bits of awe, fear, or excitement that aren't entirely their own. The telepathic harmony that once defined the room is shattered, replaced by a growing sense of confusion and unease. The instructor, clearly shaken, steps forward and turns to the human. Their voice enters the human's mind with a sharp edge, a reprimand delivered not through words, but through an intense wave of disappointment. They emphasize the seriousness of what just happened. In a psychic society, uncontrolled thoughts are danger, particularly in environments like this where minds are open and intertwined. The instructor explains that human thoughts, being unshielded and chaotic, can disrupt the mental balance of those around them. This incident, they stress, is exactly why humans are often seen as too noisy for telepathic societies. Hostility simmers among some of the students. A few glance at the human with open irritation, blaming them for the disruption. One student's thoughts are filled with resentment, as they felt they were on the verge of a breakthrough in the exercise before everything fell apart. Others are simply unnerved, their orderly psychic world momentarily thrown into chaos. But amidst the frustration, a few students are intrigued. Their minds hum with curiosity, still processing the sheer creativity and complexity of the daydream they were unwillingly pulled into. It was unlike anything they'd ever encountered in their psychic training. So vivid, so full of wild ideas and impossible concepts. The instructor, their initial anger subsiding, begins to look at the situation more analytically. What happened here was beyond a simple mistake. They realize that the human's imagination, though uncontrolled and chaotic, has a depth and complexity that's entirely foreign to their psychic norms. The telepathic species in this society are used to clarity and precision, thoughts that are neatly packaged and shared with purpose. But the human's mind operates differently. It's messy, filled with overlapping emotions and strange, impossible imagery. The instructor can't help but be fascinated. In a way, the human's daydream was a form of mental creativity that none of the psychic students could have conjured. They begin to wonder aloud, sharing their thoughts with the class. Could it be that the human mind, though unrefined, holds a unique kind of power? The human's ability to imagine such complex, emotionally charged scenarios might not be a weakness, but rather a strength. It's something the psychic species don't have, an untapped force that could be harnessed. The human's wild daydream was disruptive, yes, but it was also undeniably creative, filled with layers of meaning and emotion. The psychic students had never experienced anything like it. As this realization begins to dawn, the human sits quietly, their minds still spinning from the reprimand and the chaos they unintentionally caused. They feel a deep sense of embarrassment, frustration boiling beneath the surface. They didn't mean to lose control, but now they've confirmed every fear they had about standing out in this psychic environment. It feels like a failure. Their mind, so different from the others, seems like a liability. But then, unexpectedly, a few of the students approach them, not with anger, but with curiosity. One student cautiously reaches out, telepathically communicating their fascination with the human's daydream. They've never seen anything like it before, and want to understand more. Their student follows, their thoughts filled with questions. How did the human's mind create such vivid scenes? Where did the strange creatures and impossible physics come from? These students aren't angry. They're intrigued, even inspired by the raw, imaginative power they witnessed. The human, still processing what happened, starts to realize something important. Their mind, though chaotic and undisciplined, might actually hold value. They had been so focused on fitting into the psychic norms that they hadn't considered how their imagination, their ability to dream and create, could be an asset. It wasn't that they lacked power, it was that their power was different. Something unrefined but full of potential. If they could learn to control it, to focus their thoughts without losing that spark of creativity, they might be able to contribute something truly unique. The instructor, seeing this shift, offers the human a chance to explore this potential. They propose a new path, helping the human learn to channel their thoughts more productively, to harness their imagination without letting it spill uncontrollably into the shared psychic space. It's not about stifling their creativity but refining it, shaping it into something that could complement the psychic discipline of the other students. This moment of realization sets the stage for a new journey. The human, once embarrassed and out of place, now understands that their chaotic mind isn't a flaw to be hidden, but a source of untapped strength. With guidance, they might be able to turn their daydreams into something powerful, something that could change the way the psychic society views creativity and imagination altogether. The human begins their training with the instructor, determined to learn control over their chaotic thoughts. Unlike the psychic students, whose abilities are naturally refined and disciplined from birth, the human's mind is wild, unstructured. The first sessions are difficult. Meditation, which comes easily to the psychic students, is a struggle for the human. Their mind races with thoughts and ideas, constantly shifting between scenes, emotions, and concepts. But the instructor, patient and insightful, doesn't ask the human to suppress these thoughts. Instead, they guide the human in channeling that energy into something productive. The human learns that their creativity, far from being a weakness, can be a tool. Through exercises in visualization and mental focus, they start shaping their daydreams with more intent. Instead of random, uncontrollable bursts of imagination, the human begins to build worlds with purpose. Slowly, they grow in confidence. The once chaotic daydreams become more organized, with characters, landscapes, and emotions woven together into coherent, shareable visions. The psychic students, initially skeptical, start to notice. The human's mind, which had been disruptive, now offers something new, a form of mental expression they'd never encountered before. The vividness and originality of the human's thoughts begin to impress even the most talented psychic students. Just as the human is making strides, an unexpected crisis strikes. A dark, external psychic entity invades the school's psychic network, a dangerous force from outside the mental shield that protects the academy. This entity, a kind of rogue mental energy, begins to unravel the collective harmony of the school. It feeds on the ordered minds of the psychic students, pulling at their thoughts, disrupting their focus, and threatening to overload the entire network. The psychic students, despite their training, struggle to defend themselves. Their finely tuned telepathic abilities, designed for clarity and precision, falter in the face of this invasive chaos. The instructor calls for calm, but the situation worsens. The psychic network, the invisible web of mental communication that connects the classroom, is rapidly breaking down. Students are panicking, their minds scattered and unfocused. The entity thrives on this disorder, growing stronger as it wreaks havoc. The human, watching the chaos unfold, feels the familiar sensation of overwhelming confusion. But this time, they don't shrink back. Instead, they recognize the opportunity in the chaos. The human knows what it's like to have an unstructured, disordered mind. It's something they've lived with their whole life, and now, with their newfound control, they realize that this chaotic energy might be the key to fighting back. Where the psychic students are vulnerable to this external disruption, the human's mind, naturally chaotic but now honed, might be the only one capable of pushing back against the invader. Summoning their courage, the human steps forward. With the instructor's guidance, they project a powerful, controlled daydream into the psychic network. But this time, it's different. Instead of a disorganized rush of images and emotions, the human channels their imagination into a focused, creative force. They construct a mental landscape so vivid, so unpredictable, that the entity is caught off guard. Unlike the psychic students who rely on order and precision, the human's mind bends the rules of psychic combat. They create distractions, confusing the entity with impossible scenarios, wild imagery, and emotional depth that it has no defense against. The psychic entity, unused to such a chaotic but intentional mental assault, falters. The human's imagination overwhelms it, filling the psychic space with a flood of unpredictable and complex thoughts. The entity, once feeding on the ordered minds of the psychic students, is now drowning in the human's unpredictable mental creativity. It tries to fight back, but it can't keep up with the shifting, constantly evolving landscape of the human's thoughts. With the entity weakened, the psychic network begins to stabilize. The students, watching in awe, realize what is happening. The human, once seen as a disruptive force, has turned their greatest perceived weakness into a strength. As the entity retreats, unable to withstand the human's imaginative assault, the classroom is saved. The psychic harmony begins to return, but now it feels different, broader, more flexible, as if the human's presence has expanded the limits of what they believed possible. The students, once wary of the human's chaotic mind, now look at them with a mixture of gratitude and respect. The human, still processing what just happened, is met with the instructor's approving thoughts. They had saved the class, not by conforming to the psychic norms, but by embracing their own unique abilities. The human's mind, once a source of disruption, has proven to be a powerful weapon, one that brings something new and valuable to the psychic society. In the aftermath, the human is celebrated as a hero. Their journey from outsider to integral part of the classroom is complete. They realize that their mind, once seen as chaotic and unfocused, holds a unique kind of strength. By learning to harness their imagination, they've transformed from a source of disruption into an asset, showing that creativity, when controlled and focused, can be as powerful as any psychic ability. The classroom, once wary of the human's presence, now sees them as an essential part of the group. The human's chaotic mind, far from being a liability, has become a symbol of the potential that lies in creativity and imagination.